One day there arrived a large parcel for the emperor. On it was written Nightingale. "Here now, we have another book about our celebrated bird," said the emperor. But it was not a book. It was a little machine that lay in a box, an artificial nightingale made to resemble the live one, but all set with diamonds, rubies, and sapphires. As soon as ever the artificial bird was wound up, it could sing one of the strains the real one sang, and its tail moved up and down and glistened with silver and gold. Round its neck hung a little ribbon, and on it was written, "The Emperor of Japan's nightingale is poor beside that of the Emperor of China." "That is charming," said everybody, and the man who had brought the artificial bird immediately received the title of Chief Imperial Bringer of Nightingales. Now they must sing together. What a duet it will be! But it wouldn't go right, for the real nightingale sang its own style and the artificial bird went off into waltz tunes. "It keeps excellent time and is entirely of my school," said the bandmaster. So the artificial bird was to sing alone. It made as great a success as the real one, and was besides far prettier to look at. It glittered like a bracelet or a brooch. 33 times over did it sing the self-same melody, and yet it was not tired. The people would have liked to hear it over again, but the emperor said that now the live nightingale should sing a little. But where was it? Nobody had noticed that it had flown out of the open window away to its own green wood. "What is the meaning of this?" said the emperor, and all the court people scolded and said the nightingale was a most ungrateful creature. "Still, we have the best bird after all," they said, and the artificial bird had to sing again. It was the 34th time they had heard the same piece, but they didn't quite know it yet, for it was very difficult, and the bandmaster praised the bird in the highest terms and assured them that it was superior to the real nightingale, not only as regards to the plumage and the many beautiful diamonds, but also internally. For observe, your lordships, and the emperor above all, with the real nightingale one can never calculate what will come next, but with the artificial bird all is definite. It is thus and no otherwise. It can be accounted for. One can open it up and show the human contrivance, how the waltzes are set, how they go, and how one follows on another. "Exactly what I think," said everybody, and the bandmaster got permission on the following Sunday to exhibit the bird to the people. They too should hear it sing, said the emperor, and they did hear it, and were as delighted as if they had got drunk on tea, which is the genuine Chinese fashion. But the poor fisherman, who had heard the real nightingale, said, "It sings pretty enough, and it's like it too, but there's something wanting. I don't know what." The real nightingale was exiled from the land and realm. The artificial bird had a place assigned it on a silk cushion close to the emperor's bed. All the presents that had been made to it, gold and jewels, lay around it, and it had risen to the title of High Imperial Nightingale Songster, and in precedence was number 1 on the left-hand side, for the emperor accounted that side to be the most distinguished, on which the heart lay, and even an emperor's heart is on the left side. And the bandmaster wrote 25 volumes on the subject of the artificial bird. The work was very learned and very long, full of the most difficult words in the Chinese language, and everyone said they had read it and understood it, for otherwise they would have been accounted stupid and would have had their stomachs stamped upon. So things went on for a whole year. The emperor, the court, and all the rest of the Chinese knew by heart every little cluck in the artificial bird's song. But precisely for that reason they liked it all the better. They could sing with it themselves, and so they did. The street boys would sing, and the emperor sang too. In fact, it was admittedly exquisite. But one evening, when the bird was singing its best and the emperor was lying in bed listening to it, something went snap inside the bird. All the wheels whizzed around and the music stopped. The emperor jumped straight out of bed and had his body physician summoned. But what use was that? They fetched the watchmaker, and after much talk and much examination, he got the bird into order after a fashion. But he said it must be most sparingly used, for it was very much worn in the bearings, and it was impossible to replace them so that you could be sure of the music. That was a sad affliction. Only once a year durst they let the bird sing, and even that was a severe strain. But thereupon the bandmaster made a short oration with plenty of difficult words, and said that it was just as good as before, and accordingly it was just as good as before. 5 years had now passed by, and a really great sorrow came upon the whole country, for at bottom they were very fond of their emperor, and now he was ill, and it was said could not recover. A new emperor was already chosen, and people stood outside in the streets and asked the marshal how it went with their emperor. "Pooh!" said he, and shook his head. Cold and pale lay the emperor in his great stately bed. The whole court believed him dead, and every one of them ran off to pay their respects to the new emperor. The servants of the bedchamber ran out to gossip about it, and the palace maids had a large coffee party. Everywhere, in all the halls and corridors, cloth was laid down so that footsteps should not be heard, and so everything was very, 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 very quiet. But the emperor was not yet dead. Stiff and pale he lay there in the stately bed with the long velvet curtains and the heavy gold tassels. High up a window stood open, and the moon shone in upon the emperor and the artificial bird. The poor emperor was hardly able to draw his breath. It seemed as if something was sitting on his chest. He opened his eyes, and then he saw that it was Death who was sitting on his breast, and had put on his golden crown, and was holding in one hand the gold sword of the emperor, and the other his splendid banner. And round about in the folds of the great velvet bed curtains strange faces pushed themselves out, some quite horrible, other divinely kind. They were all the emperor's good and evil deeds, looking at him now that Death was seated upon his breast. "Do you remember that?" whispered one after another. "Do you remember this?" And they told him of many things, so that the sweat broke out on his forehead. "I never knew of that," said the emperor. "Music, music! The great drum of China," he called out, "that I may not hear all they are saying." He went on, and Death nodded like a Chinaman at everything that was said. "Music! Let me have music," cried the emperor. "You blessed little bird of gold, sing, do sing. I have given you gold and precious things. I myself hung my golden slipper about your neck. Sing, sing, do sing." But the bird was silent. There was no one to wind it up, and without that it did not sing. But Death went on, looking at the emperor out of his great empty eye holes, and everything was still, fearfully still. At that instant there was heard, close by the window, the most lovely song. It was the little live nightingale that was sitting on the branch outside. It had heard of its emperor's need, and so had come to sing to him to comfort and hope. And as it sung, the forms became more and more shadowy. The blood coursed quicker and quicker through the emperor's weak body, and Death himself listened and said, "Go on, little nightingale, go on." "Yes, if you will give me the splendid gold sword. Yes, if you will give me the rich banner, and give me the emperor's crown." And Death gave each of the treasures for a song, and the nightingale still went on singing, and it sang of the quiet churchyard, where the white roses grow, where the elder tree smells sweet, and where the fresh grass is moistened with the tears of those who are left. Then a yearning for his garden came upon Death, and he floated out of the window like a cold white mist. "Thanks, thanks," said the emperor. "You heavenly little bird, I know you now. I drove you out of my land and realm, and yet you have sung the foul sins away from my bed and rid my heart of death. How shall I repay you?" "You have repaid me," said the nightingale. "I drew tears from your eyes the first time I sang, and I shall never forget it to you. Those are the jewels that do the heart of the singer good. But sleep now, and become well and strong. I will sing to you." And it sang, and the emperor fell into a sweet, sweet sleep, a sleep that was kind and healing. The sun was shining in the window on him when he awoke, strengthened and whole. None of his attendants had come back yet, for they believed he was dead, but the nightingale still sat there singing. "You must always stay with me," said the emperor. "You shall only sing when you like, and as for the artificial bird, I'll break it into 1,000 bits." "Don't do that," said the nightingale. "It has done what good it could. Keep it as before. I can't make any home at the palace, but do you let me come here when I like? Then I will sit at evening time on the branch there by this window and sing to you, to make you happy and thoughtful too. I will sing about the happy and about those who suffer. I will sing of the evil and the good that is about you and is hidden from you. The little singing bird flies far and wide, to the poor fisherman, to the labourers' cottages, to everyone who is far removed from you and your court. I love your heart better than your crown, and yet the crown has about it a perfume of something holy. I will come, I will sing to you, but one thing you must promise me." "Anything," said the emperor as he stood there in his imperial robes, which he had put on himself, and held the sword, heavy with gold, up against his heart. "One thing I beg of you. Tell no one that you have a little bird that tells you everything. It will be better." And with that, the nightingale flew away. The attendants came in to see their dead emperor, and, well, there stood they, and the emperor said, "Good morning."